Hello. Just wait for Ben to come on. So it's getting pretty serious now. I've actually written some notes that I want to ask him. So, you know, big time now. Hi, Phil. There's Ben. Woo-hoo. Go live. I've also got a nice pineapple today. So enjoy. You're welcome.
Hello.
There it is.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good. Am I getting to you this weekend as well?
Yes, I will be in SFN. What's the N stand for, by the way?
What does the S stand for?
Scottish?
Scottish Fitness.
Is it the N in fitness? Have they broken it?
But I think we're doing something on Sunday together.
Oh, cool.
Obviously, you're really excited about that.
I didn't know. Now I'm excited, yeah, but I didn't know.
Drinking out of a jar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I stole it from Florida.
Oh, nice. Nice. Okay, so really I want to get you on to talk a bit about you, but mostly about, I guess, like the mindset of life, but how you've related that to, and I guess how you've related that to having CF as well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to talk much about that because there's so much more than that like defines you, and you obviously get a lot of attention for that, but also, yeah, you're just awesome anyway. But for anyone who doesn't, which most people do you want to just give a little?
So, cystic fibrosis is a genetic illness that affects, I think, 10,000 people in the UK, 100,000 people worldwide. And it's much like, well, it's a genetic illness, so your parents have to be carriers of the gene. It's passed down, so I've got an older brother and a younger sister who both didn't get the full copies. They didn't get both copies, they got singles, so they're both carriers. And essentially, in a nutshell, it's the production of mucus in the body and sodium. So sodium obviously affects the viscousness, that's not a word, of mucus within the body. So perfect example. So someone without cystic fibrosis like yourself, the mucus in their body is like water in this glass. It moves around freely. If I swirl it around, it moves very
I have just such viscous mucus.
You lucky bitch.
I'm a lucky bitch.
Basically, if you replace that water for wallpaper paste or PVA glue, that's the person with cystic fibrosis. That's their mucus within their body. So everything is made much more difficult in terms of internal processes. The main killer is lung infections. Basically that bacteria, that mucus is like the perfect breeding ground for bacteria. So repeated chest infection, someone like yourself, if they got a chest infection, the bug would kind of clear out fairly quickly because it has nowhere to breed. If someone like myself gets a chest infection, the bug breeds, mutates, and just basically kills the lung tissue. And that happens repeatedly until there's no more lung tissue left and you require a lung transplant, which, again, not a lot of people are on the organ donor list, or it's a pretty, obviously you're replacing someone's lungs, so it's a pretty intensive procedure. So.
Interesting on this, I've literally just had someone email me.
Mm-hmm.
He's got CF. He just had a lung transplant.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not just, he's recovered now,
mm-hmm.
but he's doing a ridiculous challenge, and he's said himself, and it's an erg challenge, and he's going to do from the start of November 1 kilometer on the erg, and then right up to 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's quite crazy, but I guess he's doing that to sort of raise money, raise awareness for charity, and the fact that so
it's pretty cool. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to go from being at the point where their lungs were not functioning anymore to then getting new ones. Like, I've said the worst my lung functions have ever been were 65%. So to give you an idea, 100% is someone my age, weight, and height without cystic fibrosis.
Right, okay.
That's what they gauge 100% on. Mine went to 65 from 100, and like warming up to like squat, I was standing up and being like, whew, what the heck? It felt like it felt like you just run a mile. You just couldn't catch your breath. It was...
The nebulizer that you use, what does that actually do?
So I take two nebules. I take one which is basically salbutamol, the same thing that an asthmatic takes. So it's a vasodilator, so it like opens up all the blood vessels, all the airways, to then allow the second nebule that I take to work. It's called Dinase or Pulmazine. This one's like the ridiculous one. It's like 75 pounds a vial. Like that's how much it cost. This is back at, like, I don't know when they came out, but that's how much they told me it was whenever I first got them. Basically, it goes into the mucus in my lungs and alters the DNA to make it more viscous. So then I can clear out bugs. Which just
Alright. And then, do you like cough up, that you cough up the mucus? No.
Yeah. If I have some, yeah. I take it as a kind of preventative.
Yeah.
If you were very chesty, I mean, you can hear like, that's about the most I get. I have to clear my throat. There's some people, when someone's got very progressed cystic fibrosis, you can hear it in their voice. It's rattly, it's husky, you know, you can hear there's a lot of crap in their lungs. So someone like them, when they take the nebulizer, they clear up a lot of stuff. And I also use then perfect. I actually took this for this kid's mum messaged me saying that she hates taking this, so I took a photo of me using it.
Let's see. That's one of the things that's been obviously so big for you as well, is that, you know, some kids that, I think it's especially when you're young and have a disease that you don't really know.
You don't take it seriously.
I mean, I just like young that your parents were probably like, you need to do this. And you're like, nah, all the other kids aren't, I'm not going to do it. So to see someone doing it is like motivating these younger children to do it. And
yeah, that's
older, them to realize that when they're so young.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I never had anyone that I could look up to in regards to my cystic fibrosis, so I'm just kind of trying to give these kids what I never had, and that's cool.
Someone asked, what's your maximum lung function been? Have you been at 100% or?
Oh yeah, I've been 100 plus. When I was a kid, it was like 115. I think it's at the moment. The last time I was there was 98%. Which I was so annoyed at because it's 2% off 100.
Damn it. Yeah.
It's still very good, and I don't, you know, I'm very grateful it's there, but the competitiveness in me is like, I was like, can I do it again? They were like, no, you only do it 3 times. And I was like, damn it. So yeah.
So is it like?
Pardon?
Is it like that flow test that you get when you're asthmatic?
Peak flow, yeah. So you have to do 2. You do 1 where it's like a big long inhale, and then a slow breath out. That measures your capacity, and then you do a peak flow, which is where you take a big deep breath in and then you blow as hard as you can. It's really difficult because you've got nothing to breathe against. It's like, even your hands better. It's like breathing into a toilet tube roll. That's essentially what it is. So you're like,
yeah,
there's nothing to resist it. It's it's annoying, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, just trying to get that little dial like up.
Dial, yeah.
Okay, so what else did I want to touch on before we move on? Oh yeah, one thing. So when we bumped into each other at Body Power, I remember you were saying one thing that I hadn't really realized is that you can't eat other people with fibrosis.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to pass on other sort of chest infections or.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an issue it came up at Body Power last. I think I was pretty freaked out, wasn't I? Whenever I was speaking to you. Yeah, because basically someone came up to me with cystic fibrosis, and I looked. You obviously can't tell. You can't tell someone with cystic fibrosis. It's not like it's written on us, but they came up to me and were chatting to me for a bit, and then they were like, oh, I also have cystic fibrosis, and I freaked out. I was just like, it's like something in my body just was like, get away. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yep. Just like, yep, see ya. And that shook me for the rest of the day. Basically, yeah, the issue is that they could have a bug that I don't have, I could have a bug that they don't have, and simply just breathing around each other, we could pass that bug on, and then that becomes an issue. So, yeah, it's pretty, again, I don't know why people, I understand why they'd want to come over and speak to me, obviously. I want to speak to them, but I also understand the repercussions of it, and someone actually messaged me who's going to SFN this weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I would love to speak to you. I've got cystic fibrosis. How do you feel about that?" And I was like, we can't." Like, I was just like, "Yeah, I mean, cool. I can do this with you."
Yeah.
I was just like, "But don't think it's worth it." You know.
So you were just saying like you can't tell if someone's got cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a topic, but is it true that it's on the same gene that is like blue eyes and blonde hair?
Oh, well, it's more of a Caucasian, like it's much higher. I don't think it affects Africans. I don't think, and if it does, it's very small, and it's probably be your gene pool's been, you've got a bit of Caucasian in your gene pool. Yeah. Asian people don't get it. It's not in the gene pool, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, I think. What I found out was quite interesting. It was basically, I read an article about it, and it was like essentially explaining where cystic fibrosis came from. And they think that it was a way of our body trying to essentially create an immunity to another illness, which I think it's successful with, but it then follows it up.
Process of the development of it is always quite interesting. Like, is there because there's normally some kind of benefit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's passed on.
The body wouldn't have done it, yeah. I mean, exactly. So there may have been a benefit to having one of the cells, but then having both of them, genes, sorry, not cells. And they think it was some random illness, so I'm maybe immune to some illness.
Well, there you go.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have hay fever. The rest of my family have hay fever, so when?
I'll just ask these questions, and then we'll move on to something else I want to speak about. So someone's asked, did you wear like sort of, when you're at sort of busy things like expos and stuff, like you are likely, well, maybe not likely to bump into someone, but there's obviously a much higher risk.
Yeah.
And, like, do you wear a mask? I know that you don't, but yeah.
Masks, to be honest, breathing masks, because they aren't vacuum sealed, it doesn't do much.
You just look kind of.
I just look paranoid.
Yeah.
Or I am in Korea, which they all wear them in Korea, which I found out.
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to ask a bit of tips about mindset, but I actually got a question which I thought would be fun to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So someone asked me today, do you agree people overcomplicate fitness as an excuse?
Yes. 100%.
You do?
Yeah, I think I don't know if you know, but Adam Parr and I have a podcast together, Fitness Made Simple.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. But yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, and we were saying it was about is being healthy expensive? And I was like, I think that's genuinely people just making an excuse. When people say, "Oh, it's too expensive to train," and blah blah blah, genuinely it's just an excuse to me that they aren't willing to. They're just putting it on something else. They'll be like, "Oh, it's nothing to do with me. It's because it's too expensive, and I don't have that monetary, ability to be able to sort that." I'm like, that's bollocks, to be honest. Like, because you can do a workout at home. It's not hard to eat healthily. In fact, yeah. So I agree.
Yeah, you're completely right about the eating healthy, because a lot of it's actually, obviously what you eat does matter, but for a lot of people, just the sheer being in a calorie deficit and losing the excess body fat, which is causing the metabolic problems.
Yeah.
So you can't say eating healthy. Like, you don't necessarily need to eat healthy. You just need to eat less.
Yeah.
And I would say that eating healthy is not expensive if you go or you order one takeaway. Like, takeaways are bloody expensive, and that could have been food for the next 3 or 4 days. If you bought a load of chicken breast, a load of potatoes, a load of whatever, even things that are more exciting than that, but it doesn't have to cost money.
Yeah, and the thing I was saying was, like, yeah, even it's what it costs you as well, like in terms of your health. And obviously it's very personal to me, but you know, I know the cost of not being healthy, not financially, but in terms of like your health and stuff. And it's, to me, when someone says like it's too expensive, I'm just like, your priorities are all wrong. But also I do agree with people just overcomplicating fitness in general, because you feel like the simple things aren't enough, mainly because they don't give them time. They don't give the simple basics enough time for them to actually elicit a response. So they just kind of like, oh, that didn't work. I have to do drop sets. I have to do, what's this new one, F45, or I have to do some form of unique thing that I've never done before, because they're hoping that if they do something they've never done before, it'll get them something they've never had before. So yeah.
I guess, but then maybe look at someone like you, like, or both of us. We train quite a lot because we love it.
Yeah.
But most people don't aspire to what we're doing. You know, they just want to lose a little bit of weight, or maybe they just want to improve their health. And to improve their health, like, it can be as simple as, I'm going to be a bit more active. Like, I'm not going to I'm going to walk to work, or I'm going to try and go to the gym twice a week. Like, it doesn't have to be every day. And I think that's where people get stuck, because they give themselves these unattainable goals. So, right, for the weeks I'm going to go to the gym every single day, and it's like, will you be able to sustain that? Absolutely not. Do you enjoy it? You know, like, it's not something you like doing. Yeah, but I'll be able to do it for 6 weeks. Okay, what happens at the end?
What do you do at week 7?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with diet. Like, oh, I'll stick to this really rigid meal plan, or, you know, a juice plus cleanse, or whatever it is, something that's completely unsustainable, and then they wonder why they can't keep the weight off. And actually, for a lot of people, because people's diets are so bad, and you can look at that almost as a positive, because if your diet's that awful,
it's going to take small things to make it better.
Oh, yeah, like having one bag of crisps instead, you know, like a normal size bag of crisps instead of a sharing size bag.
Yeah.
Not, you know, maybe swapping your Coke for a Diet Coke, or, you know, all these little things, like, that will be enough.
To at least something. Yeah.
You don't have to cut all the carbs out, or stick to a ridiculous bodybuilder type meal plan, or
even bodybuilder split, or there's like, I mean, that's exactly why I started the podcast with Adam. We just want to make people realize that fitness is simple, but simple does not mean easy.
Yeah.
That's those two words just being intertwined.
Yeah, so the person that asked me this question sort of said it in a bit of a ranty way. He was like, do you think people make excuses? Like, do you think people are using that as an excuse? And I'd actually say no, because there's a lot of like bullshit information around, and people are trying to make it more complicated than it potentially is. And I think as personal trainers or exercise professionals, or whatever you want to call yourself, we need to be a bit more understanding of that, and not make people feel stupid for trying. Like, yeah, people do go on meal plans that they won't be able to sustain, but don't be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot going on that meal plan. Should have come to it's just calories in, calories out. It's that simple, blah, blah, blah.
It's not easy.
But it's not that, you're right, it's not that easy. And it's all about behavior change. And there's a quote I like, and I can't remember who said it, but, you know, fat loss, or at least weight loss, is simple. It's calorie balance. It is simple, but behavior is rocket science. Like, different for everyone. So it's not sort of, oh, this is gonna, you know, this is our behavior change method, go do it.
Yeah.
It's got to scope it to their life.
There's, we could probably talk all day. I could talk. My brain's already going off in so many tangents about what we could talk about, but we'll keep it. I'll try and keep it tidy. But yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of people do overcomplicate things maybe it might even be subconscious. They're placing that block subconsciously. Like, there's two different types of blocks. There's ones that you cannot avoid, i.e., you work 9 to 5 and you're not allowed to get up from your desk. That's a block. You cannot change that. Your boss has specifically said to you, you're not allowed to leave the office, blah, blah, blah. Nothing you can do about that. And then there's ones that you impose on yourself that realistically, there's a wiggle room. There is wiggle room around those, and, you know, it's up to you how many of those you put up and whether they actually need to be up or not.
Yeah, agree. And you must find this as well. Like working with each client, it's like they have these little blocks, and you try and find a way around that for them, or you work with them to be like, you can't do that, but can you do this? Or actually at work it's really hard, or I don't know, people are like, I can't meal prep. It's not quite true, but you've decided that that's a block for you. So let's look at options that are available at your local Tesco.
Yeah.
Great. And a client that wants to change and is willing to change will be like, okay, great, that's what I'm going to do. Here are good options. I'll stick to my calories. I'll try and get in a protein source. Great. A client that doesn't, so I've had clients that's like, okay, you don't want to do that. What about Tesco?
Yeah.
Nah, I can't do that because sometimes I just can't. Okay, so what about, they're like, there's no good options at the canteen. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what the options are. This is, you know, there's people that have an excuse for every solution you give them.
Yeah.
And with it, kind of like, you obviously don't want it. So if you don't want it, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And they've put that block up as like, I can't do it. It's not a problem. Can we help find a way around it? Which is absolutely fine. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
If this is a problem, I don't want to find a solution. I'm just going to use it as an excuse.
So this, I actually used Ollie as an example for my dog, in case you don't know. I never assume anyone knows anything about my life, so I'm just like, my dog Ollie. So when he's got a stick, he wants you to throw the stick, but he won't let you take the stick to throw it, so he'll bark at you. And I was like, this is exactly like everyone else. So they want a situation that they're in to change, but they're not willing to let anything change to allow the situation to change. So he wants you to throw the stick, but he doesn't want to not have the stick, so he doesn't give you the stick, but then he barks at you for not throwing the stick. And I was just like, that's like everyone. They're like, I want to change, but I don't want anything to change, so I'm going to complain about things not changing.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
Simple as. So a question I get quite a lot at the moment, which kind of doesn't really have an answer, but I want to see your take on it, is what do you do, like, how do you get motivated when you're not motivated?
Okay, I actually talked about this as well the other day. You're getting me with all my strong points. So motivation will only get you so far. I think it's the thing I always say, it's easy to train when you're motivated. And if you're motivated all the time, and there was someone who was motivated all the time, which there isn't, you would get results. Everyone would get results. The most important thing is you understand why you want what you want, because then you won't need to rely on motivation. You rely on logic. For me, like, people are like, I don't know how you do that. And I was like, because I know what happens if I don't. I know the repercussions of me not having the amount of weight and muscle tissue I have. I know the repercussions. So therefore, yeah, there's days where I'm like, I couldn't be bothered going to the gym, but I do it anyway. And that's the most important thing. Like, the people who get results are the people who go when they don't want to go, because it's so damn easy to go when you want to go. So
yeah, people look at, I don't know, fitness professionals or like Instagram people, and they're like, oh, he's always motivated, or she's always motivated. No, half the time we don't want to be there either. It's like,
you're just like, whatever.
Create motivation as well, because most people, when they start, like, there must be some kind of motivation because they've started going to the gym. That's great.
Yeah.
But they might not like it, and a lot of the time they're probably not motivated to do it.
Yeah.
Motivation sort of grows from doing things. Like, if you sat on your ass and waited to be motivated to do something every day, you know, and people sort of come up with the excuse that, like, oh, I'm not motivated, I can't do it. Right, but you still go to work every day, even though you're probably not, you know, obviously, if you feel like you
happen, yeah.
Because you put that as a priority, and the same should be true that I have to do these things for my health. Sometimes I enjoy them, sometimes I don't really want to do them, but I still do them anyway.
Yeah. Other than that, when I'm motivated, I'm motivated. When I'm not, but I still go. It's as simple as that. Like, it's, and again, I just think about what is the cost of me not doing what I deem is necessary. So I haven't really got an answer for it, but that's kind of my approach to it.
Yeah, that's what I always sort of turn the question around, and I'm like, if you know, nobody's always motivated, and if we only did stuff when we were motivated, like we wouldn't get a hell of a lot done. And
Yeah.
it takes it people to realize that you can't rely on motivation.
Yeah. You need to rely on logic. So
Yeah, I like that. I haven't heard that one yet.
I just
Logic.
made it up. I just made it up. Off the cuff. But it like that's when I think about it, that's what it is. It's the logical thing to do. It makes the most sense. So yeah, it's logical. I should quote that. We should write that down.
Yeah, you can have the rights to that one.
There's loads of did I see some questions coming in there? I saw Dr. Mike. I think Mike's in this.
Yeah, Mike just said he loves us, which
Yay.
obviously.
There's Kerry as well. Oh, sorry. Kerry is actually Kerry Craze. She is the reason why I kind of work in fitness. She gave me my first job in Fitness First. I interviewed with her and a guy called Joe.
To finish off, I'd like to know sort of what you're
What's up?
you're doing at the moment.
Oh, so at the moment I am building. Well, I've already built it, but it's always going to be building my membership website. I've done personal training. I've done online coaching. I still do online coaching and a bit of personal training. But I was just like, I'm having the same conversations over and over and over and over again. I was like, I would rather be able to help a lot of people. And I mean, people with cystic fibrosis, whatever, I don't exclusively work with people with cystic fibrosis. I want to help as many people as I can because I have that ability to do that. And I'm very fortunate in that sense. So I was like, right, well, I'm just going to record everything that I usually tell my clients and basically take everything that I've learned over the 8 years of coaching that I've been doing. And I'm going to put it in one area and I'm just going to charge a set fee per month. You get a plan, you get educated. Like the main thing is like educate and inspire. That's the kind of slogan of it because I want to educate people so they know what they're doing. They know how to get what they want because they're then educated on it. But then I also want to inspire them to do it as well through not only my actions, but then people within the community. That's why it's called the Mudge community because I want to get that community aspect of it where, there's nothing more motivating than when you see someone who you're not competing with, but like you do secretively compete with people in the gym. Like you look at someone beside you going, where are they lifting? Okay. Now if they're a guy or a girl that's in, I'm sorry.
I think that's another like topic that we sort of come up to quite a lot. Like if I don't know something about, if someone comes to me and they want to compete in bikini, I'm like, I can get you in great shape, but to be totally honest, I don't know the categories, what the judges are looking for. I can't teach you to pose.
Yeah.
Do my own makeup. Like, all the other goes with it. But I don't know about it. So if you want me to do your diet, fine. But like, just being honest with people, like this person, if someone comes to you and says, what should I do for COPD? And you're like, I've no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Kind of like, oh, well, I think,
what does it stand for? Like, like that's the thing I found, like, again, Adam and I talked about this. If you're a vegan and you go to a coach who's not vegan, it's kind of harder for that coach to sympathize with you because they don't know what you're going through. So I was like, someone asked me, like, as a vegan, who should I work with? And I was like, someone who's vegan. They'll understand you a hell of a lot more than someone who isn't vegan because I don't know anything about veganism.
Have you ever tried writing like meal plans for like vegans and vegetarians? And I'm like, genuinely,
if someone says to me I'm vegan or vegetarian, I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I've refunded a vegetarian's money because I was just like, I don't know enough about protein sources. I know, like, I could easily find out, but at the same time, I was like, it's probably easier just going to someone else who knows this stuff inside out. But then I did try to learn.
Like I can write a vegetarian meal plan. I'm sure you can as well, but it's quite bland because I'm like,
it would be like by the number.
Yeah.
It would be no taste. Like here's beans, and probably some more beans and quinoa. That's about
tofu.
it. And tofu, which tastes horrible.
Like, because I never cook with it. So, that kind of stuff's hard. But I would say about COPD, and actually quite a lot of diseases, there's obviously certain things you should look for in certain diseases to sort of be careful of with exercise, but a lot of it still comes back to the individual. So, I've GP referral qualifications, and I used to work with cancer patients and type 2 diabetics. They're sort of my known areas. And even with cancer patients, where there are certain things you need to watch out for and certain things you need to be very careful of.
Yeah.
The factor is still the individual.
Yeah.
And it always comes back to that, like, what other injuries do they have? What do they like doing? Like, have they got back problems? Have they anything else around their... It's not always the disease that should dictate the exercise.
Yeah, it's individual.
But I will say that being active and probably almost any form of exercise is going to help anyone.
Yeah, and again, everyone knows their own level, their own limits. So, I could prescribe something that's on paper perfect, but if they're not putting in the effort, the appropriate amount of effort, doesn't matter how good the plan is, and they're not going to follow it.
Say, oh, this drug normally has this side effect, so we won't do this exercise. But actually in that individual, it's not having that side effect. And in another individual, it's having a completely different side effect. Or, chemo's meant to do this. Right, but actually...
But what does it... Yeah, it's not... Yeah.
It's you just have to work with the individual, and I guess that's probably not the answer you want, but that's...
So that's the fitness answer. That's the fitness answer. There's never a specific answer. There's never a clear-cut answer in fitness or health.
Yeah.
Because we're all so unique.
So someone's asked, how many calories does one, love that, does one regain healthy weight?
It depends what weight you are. Depends your body composition. It depends how much you're training. It depends what gender you are. I could keep going. Typically speaking, if someone was trying to put on weight, I would take whatever they're currently eating. So let's say they're currently eating 2,500. I would probably increase it by about 200 and just keep that going until they can kind of comfortably eat that. Because whilst it may be more, like maybe the number they're looking for is maybe 2,900, 400 calories may be too much for them to consume. Like they may be like, oh, that's a lot of food, and they'll feel stuffed, and then the next day they're not going to be as hungry. So I always try and build up in steady increments. Maybe not be the fastest way of doing it, but it's probably the one that's going to last the longest, in terms of results continuing onward. So yeah, just take whatever you're eating now and just slightly increase it, preferably from carbs as well. Again, it depends on if you're eating enough protein, your resistance plan, so many other factors. But generally speaking, just whatever you're on at the moment, if you're not gaining weight, eat a little bit more.
Yeah, and then just monitor and adapt that.
Yeah. And
I guess what you're saying is interesting as well, because like you could have days where you're like, right, okay, I'm going to eat a whole load, and then like the next day you'd undereat. And then, so it's got to be an average over the week that, you're consistent. Plus, you weigh yourself and you make sure that you're still increasing weight.
Yeah.
It's the same as weight loss. Like you look at your results when you plateau for a while, you know that you need to reduce your calories if you want to continue to lose body fat.
The phrase that I love using, and I use it all the time: if you're not assessing, you're just guessing.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I like rhymes.
Yeah. I come up with stuff like that all the time. I was like, that's a good one. That rhymes as well.
Okay, last question. How do you deal with injury when you train?
How do you deal with an injury when you train? Make sure you're not